Do you remember the exact moment the playground changed? One second there was laughter bouncing off brick walls, shoes scuffing tarmac, voices loud with freedom. Then the bell rang, not gently, but sharply, slicing through the noise and freezing everyone in place. Your stomach tightened, your shoulders straightened, and playtime vanished in an instant. That sound carried authority far beyond its size. It told you where to stand, how to move, and who you were meant to be next. Even now, decades later, many of us can still hear it clearly. You never forgot that sound, and there was reason. To understand why that bell carried such weight, we have to step back into the world of British schools in the 1960s. Education then was not designed to bend around the child. It was a system, firm and carefully ordered, built to prepare young people for a life that valued punctuality, respect, and knowing your place. Classrooms were full, often packed shoulder to shoulder, with one teacher guiding dozens of children at once. Days followed a strict rhythm: arrival, lessons, breaks, lunch, lessons again, all measured precisely. The bell was the heartbeat of that rhythm. It decided when talking stopped, when movement began, and when silence was expected. No explanation was needed. Everyone understood the rules instinctively. Authority flowed clearly downward. Teachers spoke, pupils listened. Routines mattered because they kept everything moving smoothly, compared with today's schools, where flexibility and discussion are encouraged. The atmosphere then felt sharper, more formal. Back then, the bell was not a suggestion. It was the system speaking, reminding children that time, order, and obedience shaped every school day. That context helps explain why a single sound could command attention, emotion, and behavior, long before anyone thought to question it or ask for gentler alternatives. Most people don't realize how much power that bell really held. It wasn't simply announcing that time was up. It was a signal that your whole way of being had to change instantly. One moment you were running, shouting, lost in games and daydreams. The next, you were expected to be still, attentive, and ready to learn. That sudden shift carried emotion. There was anticipation about what lesson lay ahead, but also pressure. A quiet worry about whether you were in the right place, in the right line, at the right moment. The bell did the speaking before any adult needed to. It reminded you that lateness was noticed, that hesitation mattered, and that everyone was watching. Today, transitions are often eased, gently explained, softened. Back then, the bell allowed no adjustment period. It trained children to switch moods without question. Noise became silence. Freedom became focus. Over time, that repeated moment shaped how many of us understood time itself as something strict and unforgiving. And that is why the bell stayed powerful long after the sound faded from memory alone. The bell faded, but its effect lingered in the seconds that followed. This was the walk back inside, a moment many still remember clearly. Lines formed quickly, shoes scraping against the ground, coats hurriedly removed and folded over arms. Voices dropped to whispers, then disappeared altogether. Without being told, bodies straightened and eyes fixed forward. Corridors amplified everything. Footsteps echoed, doors creaked, and the smell of polish hung in the air. You could feel your breathing change. Slower now, careful, as if the building itself demanded it. The playground felt distant already, like something you had stepped out of rather than left behind. That short journey mattered. The bell had not just ended play, it reset behavior. By the time the classroom door closed, you were someone else entirely. That quiet moment between sound and silence was where children learned how quickly the world could expect them to change, before school days continued as if nothing unusual had ever happened. A sound like that did not stay behind the school gates. Many children carried it home without realizing, tucked away in their sense of time and expectation. The bell taught you when things began and ended, when to hurry, when to stop. It quietly shaped how you responded to authority long after lessons were finished. You felt it in the way homework was started as soon as the clock struck a certain hour, or how Sunday evenings carried a faint tension as Monday approached. Routine sounds mattered then. Clocks ticking, whistles at parks, even footsteps in hallways all seemed to carry meaning. Today, time feels softer, more negotiable, with reminders flashing gently on screens. Back then, sound trained behavior. It asked nothing politely. This shaped a generation, yet hardly anyone talks about it now. The school bell became part of an inner rhythm, guiding responsibility and order well beyond the classroom walls, and shaping how children measured their days quietly. Even now, that bell still rings somewhere in the background of memory, not as a sharp sound, but as a feeling. It reminds us how small moments quietly shaped who we became. Standing still when told, moving together, understanding signals without words. There was resilience learned there, and discipline too, built not through speeches, but repetition. Yet it was never just about pressure. It was about belonging. Every child in that playground knew the rules, heard the same sound, felt the same shift. It linked us in a shared experience that needed no explanation. Looking back, it is easy to judge the strictness, to wonder if things were too hard. But childhood was not easier then, only different, structured, predictable. The bell stands as a symbol of that world, echoing a time when order shaped days and memories grew from the smallest routines we remember. Would it feel the same today? Schools still have bells, but they no longer stop the world so suddenly. Transitions are gentler, rules explained. Childhood stretched a little longer. Play blends into learning rather than snapping apart. That change feels kinder, yet different. Something sharp has softened. Perhaps children lose less of themselves now, but perhaps they also miss that shared jolt of togetherness. Maybe it wasn't the sound itself, but what it represented, and how deeply it once shaped us. For more of these unbelievable memories, tap the video on your screen. The 1970s stories are something else. Don't forget to subscribe.